Good morning, New York City! First Take at Celsius Restaurant at Bryant Park. Look at the ice skating ring. Look at the crowd. Look at the atmosphere. It is electric. Welcome to First Take. I'm Carrie Champion. Give it up for Skip Bayless. Give it up for Stephen A. Thank you so much for being here. The crowd is absolutely amazing. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're live all week long for the Super Bowl. Can you guys believe it? Is it not huge, gentlemen? Shake hands. Let's get it started, please.
Let's do it. What's going on? I heard him. I was very, very busy multitasking, handling some business before the show.
He hears every
and I heard this man sitting across from me literally tell an audience that I'm afraid of what's coming.
Oh.
Somebody, you better ask somebody.
Yeah. Okay, that man.
You better ask him. Something's wrong with this man.
He's afraid of you.
Something's wrong with this man.
Okay, all right.
Something is wrong with you.
I live here. He doesn't.
Oh, okay. Belongs to Skip Bayless. At least that's what he thinks. At least that's what he thinks.
New York City became Oklahoma City all of a sudden.
All right, well, let's turn to our crowd. I want to know how many Denver Broncos fans do we have in the audience right now by show of your T-shirts. Okay? Denver represents. What about Seattle? What about Seattle? No Seahawks fans? Okay, you know what? It looks bad. Everyone's representing for the Broncos, so everyone thinks the Broncos will win the Super Bowl.
Scary.
That's a scary thought. So let's talk about it. It is the Super Bowl. New York City, the wait is over. We are here. We're trying to talk about the city and whether or not it should be here. The weather is something we definitely cannot control. But let's listen to Roger Goodell. Earlier today, he was on the radio with Mike and Mike, and this is what he had to say about the Super Bowl being in New York City.
If you look at the weather across the country over the last week, we would have had difficulty playing in a lot of cities because of the weather. Whether you're inside or outside, because we're asking a lot of fans to come in, travel, and you just have to make sure that, you keep all of your fans safe and you have a safe event. And that's really what we're focusing on. The issue for us that we will not cross is compromising public health or safety. And so if we're going to compromise that in any way, we would not play. We don't see that as being an issue right now. The weather forecasts look optimistic. And, now hopefully we can get back to focusing on the football game.
All right, so Super Bowl Sunday, high expected to be about 38 degrees, slight chance of rain, not a big issue, but as you heard him say there, Goodell's concern was safety. The question for you, Skip Bayless, is do you believe that the Super Bowl belongs in New York City?
Stephen A. Smith, I do not believe the Super Bowl belongs in New York City because actually it's in New Jersey to start with. Look, I love New York. I do live in New York City, and it was nice to sleep in my own bed last night. New York is the only city in the world that is even bigger than this event is big.
Yeah.
But New York City does not have a dome stadium. Neither does New Jersey, where this game will be played.
Right.
And I dread the prospect of the NFL's championship game being played outside in February for all the marbles in the Northeast. And my problem is, Stephen A., as you know, I love to see the greatest athletes do what they do best, and I'm not trusting the forecast you just gave. The advanced forecast says that it could be below freezing come game time, and that there could be up to a 35% chance of some precipitation. Well, if my math serves me, if it's below freezing and we do have some precip, that could be either freezing rain or snow. I don't want to see the greatest athletes in the NFL slipping and sliding, trying to die. I don't want to see the weather win the Super Bowl, decide the championship. So, no, it does not belong in New York City because it's not like this city needs a Super Bowl. I want to see it be played under a roof in controlled climate.
Well, obviously, we're accustomed to being diametrically opposed to one another, and obviously that's the way we do it, and we both believe what we believe. But we happen to agree on this particular situation because I'll go a step further. I'm completely annoyed and disgusted that it's in this city. And unlike you who lives here, I was born and raised here, baby. This is home. And I got to tell you that despite all of that, I'm still disgusted at the fact that it was here. I don't know what the NFL thinking. I think it was some quiet promise to somebody. I don't understand it. Maybe you paid $1.6 billion to build this new stadium, which is in East Rutherford, New Jersey, by the way. But I don't just think about the game, Skip. I happen to think about the social aspect of things as well, the parties, the Super Bowl week. And the fact of the matter is, I don't care how many people you see descending upon the city of New York, it's not going to be the same as if the weather was ideal. When you got slush and snow hanging outside, when people are ice skating and all of that other stuff, that's nice here at Bryant Park. It's nice at Rockefeller Center, but nobody wants to be slipping and sliding down Broadway while they're trying to get to restaurants, while they're trying to get to a party or something like that. Nobody wants to be covered up. You know, you're 185 pounds, but you look 285 because of the amount of clothes you're wearing because it's so damn cold outside. Exactly. Nobody wants to go through that. And certainly when you look at the environment that's going to exist at East Rutherford, New Jersey, I don't care what anybody says. If you're in Green Bay or what have you, you might be accustomed to it. I understand a little cold, rains a little bit in Seattle. Same thing with the Mile High City. But at the same time, when people are looking forward to the Super Bowl, they don't want to have to deal with such inclement weather conditions. You don't want to see out this. I don't want to see people in the stands shivering. Not that the cameras are going to be on them too much, but you hear where I'm coming from. And then we get to the aspects of the game itself. Peyton Manning, yes, he's overcome some of the criticism or some of the skepticism as to whether or not he can throw the ball effectively in inclement weather, the wind chill factor, the windy conditions, how cold it's going to be, how frigid. Is that going to have an effect on Demaryius and Julius Thomas? Is it going to have an effect on Eric Decker or Wes Welker? The hits all of a sudden hurt just a little bit more. They sting just a little bit more. I mean, just the other day when it was freezing, I didn't have my hat on and I ran into a branch that scraped my ear.
And that's too bad.
And
you know what?
I'm just saying.
We should have just said that's the end of the Super Bowl. It's got to go.
We should have. But stay with me. It stung so much. You understand? All I'm trying to say is that when it's cold, the pain is a little bit extra. So all of those things being considered, in the end, the NFL loses if we find ourselves Monday, a week from today, saying that the outcome in any way was influenced. Well, it was cold. It was a bit freezing. They couldn't get their footing, blah, blah. If you're talking about anything other than what specifically transpired during the game with these exceptional athletes, you have lost. This is not 1962. All right, when they were playing at Yankee Stadium and fire was, they were making fires in trash cans to stay hot. This is 2014. It's a new era, and the NFL didn't need to go back to old times. I think they made a big mistake here.
I read this morning ticket prices are plummeting because these Stephen A. Smiths of the world do not want to pay this much for a ticket to sit out in this kind of weather.
Man, listen, I have an opportunity to go for free, and I ain't going.
You're not going.
Why aren't you going? Wait, if you were in the suite, you go.
I'm going to be in front of a TV.
Oh, okay, that's where
unless the bosses mandate otherwise, because I obviously am partial to what my bosses want.
Oh, is that so?
However, I'm telling you right now, if it's up to me, I will be chilling by a fireplace in front of a TV watching the Super Bowl. I'm not trying to go out in that cold weather. I'm the first to tell you.
You were going to be out in the cold weather.
I'm not trying to go out.
You'll be out in the cold weather, right?
Am I going to be in the cold weather?
On
my couch in the cold weather.
With Ernestine.
Yeah.
And listen, those Super Bowl commercials are fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah. And furthermore, I'm reading that the New Jersey politicians are upset that some people, such as Kerry, mistakenly refer to this as the New York Super Bowl when it will be played on New Jersey soil.
Yeah, but most people, when they say New York City, it's not mistaken. They know where it belongs.
But you know how the transportation works in this city.
Sure.
So I'm starting to wonder if maybe those New Jersey politicians would make a little construction on Sunday in the tunnels or on the bridge?
Not after what the Christie administration has endured in the last few weeks. But I will say this. I don't want to hear from the New Jersey politicians on this issue, because if you had that much of a complaint, then you should have made sure the name of the New York Giants and the New York Jets would change. If you're going to recognize the New York Giants as being who they are and the New York Jets as being who they are, but they've been playing in your stadium all of these years, then don't whine and moan now that the Super Bowl is here. You dealt with it all of these years, deal with it now.
Don't whine and moan.
So bottom line,
yes, darling.
to me, in New York City, every Saturday night is Super Bowl Saturday night. It's not like this city needs a Super Bowl to throw a party the way some Super Bowl cities do, right?
Well, no. What do you mean by that?
Well, because it's a party here every night. It's this city.
He is right about that.
See, it's just always hot here on Saturday night. Mm-hmm. It's not like you need a Super Bowl for everybody to say, hey, let's have a party. And if you go to a Super Bowl in San Diego, Saturday night in downtown San Diego, yeah, that's the biggest night of the year.
Sure. It's a party every night. How would you know that? You don't go out.
He does go out.
So
you don't go out. You stay in the house.
I've heard.
You've heard.
I've heard.
My bad.
It was very competitive. It was exciting, fun. Yeah, I think the players played much harder. It was real football, and it was something that I give a lot of credit to the players. Dominic Foxworth worked with a lot of players to come up with a concept that they would all get excited about. And this non-conference competition, particularly when you have to play against one of your own teammates, it added another element of interest to it. And I believe it was a very, very positive step. And I salute the players and glad that they had so much fun. And I think fans had a fun time watching. I know I did.
Format. Welcome back to First Take, live in New York City, ladies and gentlemen. So here is the question. Roger Goodell says that he is now a fan of this new format. I ask you this, Skip Bayless. You watched the game last night, I'm sure.
I did.
Do you believe that this new format saved the Pro Bowl? Reportedly, Roger Goodell was on the fence about ending it entirely. Your opinion?
Full disclosure.
Yep.
I watched the first and fourth quarters. I must admit, I flipped back and forth between the Grammys and the second and third quarter.
The Grammys were amazing.
They were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back to the question. Stephen A. Smith, it did not save the Pro Bowl for me last night because I, for one, love the AFC versus the NFC. I could not get used to or wrap my head around the mixed bag of AFC, NFC players on the same teams drafted by Team Rice, which should have been called Team Jerry, and Team Sanders, which should have been called Team Dion. I couldn't get used to that either. But right away, predictably, we had a Kansas City Chief named Derek Johnson blowing up a Kansas City Chief named Jamal Charles, almost helmet to helmet, when Jamal had just come off a playoff game in which he suffered a concussion and, of course, missed the game, which is how Andrew Luck lucked into the next round of the playoffs. But I'll leave that.
You digress.
Now. Yes, I digress. So, what I did love about the game was, for the first time in maybe 20 years, the defense took the game seriously on both sides. And I think the defense took the game seriously because the players were put on notice, if you don't, this will be the end of the Pro Bowl, the end of your check for $50,000 for winning the game, the end of your trips with your families to Hawaii to celebrate you making an all-star team. It did also have a great finish, but it was a low-scoring great finish, 22-21. I, for one, I liked the year before. I liked 62-35 because last night became a defensive struggle that featured 384 yards offense for the winners and 285 total yards for the losers. Yeah. Are you kidding me? 2 for 11 on third down by the losers, and I saw nothing but turnovers. I saw 8 total turnovers in the game because J.J. Watt took that game very seriously. Derek Johnson played it like it was a playoff game. Darrelle Revis, he played at a level I didn't see him play at in 16 regular season games for Tampa Bay. He finally looked like Revis Island last night. So defensive struggle, Pro Bowl, that's like oxymoron to me. I don't get it. I love the way it was, but if people think that saved the Pro Bowl and Goodell is influenced by the Twitter reaction or overreaction to it, sure, I guess that's okay with me.
Well, God bless him for being influenced by it. I, for one, was not. I disagree with you wholeheartedly because I have no use for the Pro Bowl whatsoever. It was nice to see some guys.
How were the Grammys last night?
I didn't watch the whole Grammys. I definitely watched Beyonce. I didn't miss that.
That's all we needed to see.
Miss that, you know. Even though Taylor Swift was good too. She was
Paul
good.
McCartney and Ringo. Nobody cared about that. Yeah.
Well, you know, it was before my time.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying.
Kids love the Beatles.
I guess what I say this. I guess I'll say this to you. I mean, I love seeing Drew Brees get hit blindsided. I love seeing Cam Newton get sacked 4 times. I like the fact that they were taking it a bit more seriously than they had in the past. The couple of quarters that I watched.
Yeah.
But in the end, what it comes down to is that usually exhibition all-star games mean very, very little to me.
Yeah.
But especially in the sport of football, because at no time have I or will I ever blame the players for giving a half-hearted effort. Because football is so physical, their careers are it relies on you taking care of your body. And to get hurt in a game so meaningless, so utterly meaningless, is not something that I would ever endorse. I mean, it's like asking boxers to go up in there and fight for nothing. All right, really? You really going to do that? No, that's not what you do. Not in this day and age. You fight for something. And so to me, that's the way I look at the NFL All-Pro game, or the Pro Bowl game. I'm just not enamored with it. I haven't been. As far as I'm concerned, recognize the guys who deserved All-Pro status, honor them in any way you can, but I don't think people care too much about an exhibition game. Think about it this way. The NFL is king. It used to be America's national pastime, baseball. The NFL is now king. You can't get enough of it. A basketball lover like me waits every Sunday. I mean, football is it, man. I can't get enough of it when the games count. When they don't count, you know that these guys have no business out there jeopardizing their health in any way, shape, or form. For a game of this magnitude, it's totally meaningless. So for me, I'm not taking that chance, and the game doesn't mean anything to me. I wish they would do away with it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
So why wouldn't you prefer what I prefer, which was last year's game? Again, 62-35. It was actually pretty close going to the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
It's as close as you can get to a skills competition within the confines of a real football game.
I understand that.
Because nobody really blocks and nobody really tackles.
I totally agree.
So it's basically quarterbacks playing a 7-on-7 drill, throwing to receivers who are often pretty wide open because they changed the defensive format. They allowed zone last night. This was all man-to-man. It was fun to watch because your boy Aaron Rodgers lit up the fourth quarter, and it was a spectacle, man. I didn't turn my TV off.
I guess what I'm trying to say to you is I'm not interested in the skills competition either for a game like that. It doesn't interest me. Now, if the games counted, it mattered. If guys were really defending against one another, okay, it would matter. But that wasn't what the case was last year, which is why Goodell contemplated canceling it. And I can't knock these guys. I can't expect them to go in a game of football. Basketball is different because it's your talent. Tennis, things of that nature, golf, I get all of that. But when you're talking about football, as violent as that sport is, and how one play could cost you a career, I don't believe any of these guys should go out there putting themselves remotely at risk. I wish they would do away with it and just have ceremonies to honor the guys who played like all pros, because the games matter so much. Think about where you're going from. The games meaning absolutely everything to you.
Sure.
From even preseason matters, those last 2 weeks, even though I wish they do away with preseason too. But you got the 16 games in the regular season over 17 weeks. You got the 2 to 3 weeks of the playoffs. And then after that, you have the Super Bowl. And then you go from that to it meaning absolutely nothing, or the Pro Bowl game being before the Super Bowl, to meaning absolutely nothing. Something's wrong with that picture.
Would you admit to this? I'm more of a hardcore NFL fan than you are. Is that fair?
Yes, fair.
Okay, and you, not that I'm less of an NBA fan, but you are the NBA. You are Stephen A. Smith. You invented the NBA,
He did.
right?
He did.
Okay.
It's a fact.
So
pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
as hardcore as I am, I loved the Pro Bowl being the week after the Super Bowl.
Why?
So that the Super Bowl participants could actually participate in the Pro Bowl. Last night we had X number of players who obviously have something bigger on their minds coming up a week from next Sunday.
I do like that better than where it is now.
And what happens for me is, for years, I look forward to that last Sunday night because it was wistful to me.
Mm-hmm.
Here I was sitting in snowbound New York City or Bristol, Connecticut, or wherever I was, watching a game from Hawaii that was fun to watch because, man, we're still a couple of months away from that.
Right.
We might be forever away from that up here, right?
Right.
And yet It was the last hurrah. It's my last look at football until, when is that Hall of Fame game? Like August the 2nd.
Sure.
So I knew, and I hung on to it like this is my last shot of football, and it was a beautiful thing. It was it was a rite of winter as opposed to a rite of spring.
Okay.
Right? It's the last rite of winter.
And it puts more of a meaning on it, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's a punctuation to end the season.
So I don't know why the hardcore football fans still love the Pro Bowl.
Sure.
But obviously, from a TV perspective, you need more casual fans.
What I would ask you to take into consideration is understand what an all-star or an all-pro game entails and what it's supposed to be about. It's the best facing each other and conducting themselves at their best. That's really what it's supposed to be. It's not just about the team. That's more about individuality. You know, you might have Peyton Manning going up against Russell Wilson in the Super Bowl, but in the Pro Bowl, it would be Peyton Manning against a Drew Brees or something like that. And guys going up against one another. And so what I'm saying is, if you have something where you don't have the elite going up against the elite, then how is that a turn on? I'm not knocking it. And you're right. You are more of a diehard football fan. But I use the word modernized because from the standpoint of loving football, you might be diehard because you've been loving it for decades and decades and decades. I've been loving football for the past 15, 20 years. Before that, didn't have much use for it. But as the popularity of the sport grew, you become more and more inquisitive about it. You look into it and then you realize how much you love it. And now I can't get enough of it. I want to watch football all the time.
Okay, and I hear from a lot of people that they've fallen out of love with the NBA All-Star Game because they don't play hard enough.
Right.
But I say, just wait until the last 8-9 minutes of that game and tell me they don't play hard.
And I agree with that, but you have to also remember the difference between the NBA and the NFL. With the NBA players, you are seeing athletes doing things that the average dude simply can't do. When you look at the NFL, I'm sorry, Deshaun Jackson runs down the sideline on a fly pad and he's thrown a 40 or 50-yard bomb touchdown. All I'm trying to say to you is that the level of skill that comes with being LeBron James could be in the All-Star game. Melo or Kobe or somebody or Kevin Durant and his boys can be in the All-Star game. You can go to Rutgers Park and practice all you want to. You ain't them. You can't be them. You can't do what they can do.
Right.
But on a football field, obviously those guys are elite and they're on another level, but at the same time, just the nuances that come along with the sport of football, you find yourself being able to emulate those guys to some degree. Whereas you look at LeBron and those boys, you're like, I can't do that. I can't be that dude. So even in an all-star game, when you watch them in person and elevate 10 feet to catch an alley-oop and yank it down, the average dude simply can't do that. That's the difference.
And they can do what Deshaun Jackson does?
Not with the same speed, but I'm saying it's all relative. You don't look at football and see guys doing things. I'm talking about for an all-pro game. You don't see things transpiring that you don't think you can't imagine happening in every day with whoever you're playing with or against or whatever the case would be. Basketball, you look at guys, it's like, I can't do that. I can't be that dude. The athleticism is more pronounced.
All right, Stephen A., we gotta leave it there. Stephen A. says he can take or leave the Pro Bowl. Skip would like it to end the season with a punctuation.
Well, I've never seen experience playing a game. So, we don't worry about things like that. We didn't have any experience in the NFC Championship either, and we were fine there. And I think us treating every week like a championship experience, like a championship game, has helped us kind of look at every game the same. And every game has a tremendous impact and tremendous importance to us. And I don't think anything changes this week for us in that regard.
Welcome back. First Take. Celsius Restaurant at Bryant Park. Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, Kerry Champion here. Perhaps some ice skating will happen after the show. That was Richard Sherman, who says he's never seen experience play a game. He's the gift that continues to give during Super Bowl week. Skip Bayless, we're talking about his comments. Do you agree with Sherman?
I didn't hear a word you said, but I'm just going to guess what you asked me.
I said you were handsome and you needed to pay attention. So the question was truth there. No, Richard Sherman says he's never seen experience play a game. Do you agree with him?
Stephen A. Smith, I do not agree with that big picture assessment. Now, if I were Richard Sherman yesterday, that's exactly what I would have said. Mm-hmm. But if I could borrow a quick NBA analogy, just so you could understand it a little better. That was funny. My San Antonio Spurs are not exactly winning games on ability right now. They still have the best road record in the NBA, largely because of, thank you, we have one Spurs fan
Mo,
here.
yeah.
Way to go, Mo.
Give it up for Mo, everybody. We got to give it up for Mo. He's running the crowd. Thank you, boss. Continue.
They still have the NBA's best road record, largely based on their experience, because God knows they're not playing any defense right now, as we saw yesterday, unfortunately, in Miami. But the point is that experience, as opposed to what Richard just said, experience didn't win the NFC Championship game for Seattle. Home field advantage trumped the playoff experience of the visiting New Orleans Saints, obviously, to me. So, to me, the San Francisco 49ers. So, to me, Stephen A., I do think while the weather could be a significant advantage for Seattle, that, yeah, Super Bowl experience is a significant edge for the Denver Broncos, because you do have Peyton played in 2 Super Bowls, won. Wes Welker's played in 2, unfortunately, is 0 for 2, though we'll discuss that maybe later with Plaxico.
Sure. And
we have DRC and Tammy have played in 1, and, of course, John Fox coached in 1, which he lost to the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 38. Unfortunately, the combined record of the Denver Broncos in Super Bowls is 1-6. So you could argue it's negative experience, but it is experience nonetheless. So big picture, I disagree with Richard Sherman.
We have a responsibility sitting in this chair to be intuitive enough to really decipher what somebody is trying to say when they make such a statement, which on its surface seems a bit asinine. But what Richard Sherman was saying is, if you decipher it appropriately, was absolutely positively on the money, because even though he's saying that he's trying to poo-poo experience, we know better than doing that. At the same time, there's a first time for everybody. When you are Richard Sherman and you are the Seattle Seahawks and you don't have a single player with Super Bowl experience or a Super Bowl championship on a resume, what you're saying is, but look at our skills. Look at what we're bringing to the table. You're going to have to deal with this if you're Peyton Manning. You might have some experience, but what about when we put a hat on you? You're Demaryius Thomas and Decker and all of those boys who, by the way, don't have Super Bowl experience, but you're a Wes Welker. You've got that experience. How is that going to help you when I knock you upside your head and you suffer another concussion? What are you going to do? So what are you going to do if you're the Broncos defense when Marshawn Lynch, in beast mode, comes at you and he is running roughshod all over you? Experience can help. Is it going to help? Is it going to help your chest when it gets caved in? Is it going to help your knees when I sit there and I try to steamroll over you? These are the kind of things that Richard Sherman is alluding to. And once again, I remember, let me go to the basketball analogy. Magic Johnson and those boys, they're winning championships. Bird and Boston, along with the Lakers, are dominating the 80s. Isaiah and the Pistons kept knocking on the door before they kicked it in. And then it was Jordan's turn, kept knocking on the door before he kicked it in. They didn't have the experience, but what they had was the skill, the hunger, the tenacity, the determination, the fire in their belly that said, it is my time. Richard Sherman believes that. We'll see if it holds up. We'll see if it's true. But at the same time, I do think he has a point when he says experience hasn't beaten anybody, because what he's trying to say is all that experience y'all keep talking about, wait till they get a load of us. We are coming. And that's what I pay attention to most of all. That's what it's about. That's sports. That's what competition is.
So, are you predicting that Seattle's going to cave the chests in of the Denver Broncos?
I'm not.
Really?
I don't like people clapping before I answer my question.
It was such a good question.
Let me be very clear. Number one, I did not say that. Number two, and more importantly, it's Monday. I didn't make a prediction yet. And you know we're not making our predictions until later on in the week. So don't be trying to get me to answer the question before Friday or whenever we decide that we're going to give our prediction.
You were heading that direction.
It don't matter. Wait. Be patient.
And my final question is, do the Seattle Seahawks have Michael Jordan on their side?
Yikes. Okay.
You know what? Some people would believe that their defense is tantamount to that because of the kind of impact that they've had this year. Sometimes you hear it. Listen, the Michael Jordans of the world didn't sneak up on anybody. He came. You heard him stomping. He wasn't tiptoeing. You heard him screaming. He wasn't whispering. He was coming. That's what I'm hearing from the Seattle Seahawks.
Hey,
they're not sneaking up on anybody.
Do you believe the Seattle defense is a collective Michael Jordan?
I think this year they have been.
Wow.
Do you?
I think this year they have been.
So that means they're all-time greatest, right?
I think that defensively they are one of the elite teams we have ever seen in the history of this
Better
game.
Than the 85 Bears, the 76 Steelers?
I think if they win this game, we will say that. I think for this year, not next year, not last year, whatever. This season, if they beat the Denver Broncos, I do believe that their defense will be compared to the 85 Bears, the Steel Curtain as well, of the 80s. I do believe that they'll be tantamount to all of that.
Okay, so conversely, do you believe,
70s,
as I said on Friday, that if Peyton Manning routes this defense, if he torches
then
this
it's all
defense,
a lie. Then it's all a lie.
Okay, well, is it a lie, or is Peyton, does he suddenly vault above Brady?
Combination of both.
Maybe even
combination of both, because even if Peyton picks them apart and rips them to shreds, you can't ignore what you saw them do over the last 2 seasons on their home turf. You can't ignore what you saw them do against Drew Brees in the playoffs and then ultimately the San Francisco 49ers.
Yep.
Those things cannot be ignored. But at the same time, it would elevate Peyton Manning, because if we're saying this about Seattle coming into this game, then we don't get to ignore that his greatness would have had something to do with it if indeed he picks them apart.
You're on record. If Seattle wins this game, it will go down as having the best defense of all time.
No.
He said one of the elite teams.
If they no. See. This is the problem. See, Skip is the master of twisting stuff. Because what he did was he asked, listen to the question, if Seattle wins. No. If Seattle's defense puts Denver on lockdown and they win. If Denver wins 38-35, what did their defense do? What did Seattle's defense do?
What if Seattle wins 38-35?
No, it's about their defense.
All right,
their defense is big time.
We got to wrap. We got guests. Let's just add this. Seahawks first team to enter the Super Bowl with 0 players that have absolutely no Super Bowl experience. Ladies, here's our next guest. 1 second. Ladies. There's no ladies here. Is there a lady here? One lady. 2 ladies. He's known as a supermodel, but he's here to talk about the Super Bowl. Tyson Beckford, ladies and gents.
What's happening?
How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
There's only 3 ladies in the audience. I'm sorry. We need to know who wins the Super Bowl. Who you got?
I'm going to go with Seahawks. NFC all day.
All right, so you got to explain yourself. NFC all the way.
I just think Seahawks have the better defense, and, they're a crowd favorite here in New York. So.
All right, so you leave it right there. First take on the road for Super Bowl week. Who you got? You got Denver, or do you have Seattle? We are at Celsius Restaurant at Bryant Park. Our very first guest joining us right now is supermodel Tyson Beckford, huge football fan. We were talking during the break. You're a huge fan. You love the Jets. You love the Giants.
Right.
But you picked the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl. You have to explain yourself.
Right.
Security.
I got to say, because I'm going to go with the Seahawks because NFC is always dominated, and I feel like, this is an NFC town, so they're going to cheer for the Seahawks, and I think that's going to be a factor in the cold here in New York. And I just believe that the defense for the Seahawks is way better than the defense for the Broncos.
But what about the offense?
The offense is good. I mean, Peyton Manning, he's got his work cut out for him because, the D-backs are really going to control where he throws the ball. If he's going to throw it more than 20 or 30 yards, then he's going to have to deal with those defensive backs.
Yeah, but I get the sense. Calm down, folks. Let me ask the question. I get the sense that your belief that Seattle is going to win is primarily due to the inclement weather that you're expecting, as opposed to them just being a better team. Is that right in me saying so?
Yes.
Bottom line,
not all just on the weather. I just think the factors of the fans, the arena where they're playing, it just a lot of things are going to come into play.
What do you think about the Super Bowl being here in this weather?
I don't know. He didn't pick a good city. I mean, I love my city and I think it's great, but when you think of Super Bowl, you think of somewhere warm. You know, I'm a fan of it being in Miami. Love it. It's great. Always fun when it's there. I just think here in the city it's just tough because a lot of people have to go across the water. I live in Jersey, so it's not a problem to me. I'm 15 minutes from the stadium, but it's like so many roads only lead into that stadium, so it's going to be tough. You know what I mean? And it's just going to be tough on a lot of people. You know, but there's public transportation, so that works for a lot of people as well.
So, Tyson, now that my friend Stephen A. Smith is on record about what could happen with the Seattle defense, now that you're on the record that you're picking Seattle,
right?
Let's just presume that Seattle routs Denver, that Seattle shuts down Peyton Manning, that he has the worst night he's had all year.
Yeah, that's a big statement.
Okay, that's a big statement. But again, you're bullish on that secondary, as many people are.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith has now made the point in our previous block that under those circumstances, Seattle's defense could be viewed as a collective Michael Jordan, that it could go down in history as one of the great defenses of all time. Would you leap to that conclusion off that kind of an outcome?
I'm going to have to ride with Steven because they're going to have to be that defense, that steel curtain style. They're going to have to come with that. That's really going to play a factor in this because Peyton Manning, we all know he can get off when he gets off. You know, we just got to stop him early. You know, if you don't stop him early, then it's going to be a problem, you know, because his long ball game is long. You know what I mean? The man can throw, so we all know that. But the factor is, can he throw in the Meadowlands with that wind going the way it does sometimes? You know, we'll see.
Okay, say you're wrong.
Okay.
Say Denver Broncos do win.
Okay.
What does this win do for Peyton Manning's legacy?
Man, it takes the man to legend. I mean, he's already a legend. I mean, he doesn't, he doesn't need to play anymore.
He surpasses
My understanding
Brady?
is, why is he still playing?
Does he surpass Brady in terms of the greatest?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. I mean, I don't take nothing from the Broncos. The Broncos are a great team. Peyton Manning is a legend who's still playing the game. I don't know why, but, you know, maybe he just likes to cheer the crowd.
So you think he should have retired before now?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
I mean, that whole neck injury scares me. Like, you know,
he just had the greatest season any quarterback's
he had the greatest
ever had.
season, but it's just that to me, that neck is not something to play with. You know, the one wrong hit, that man could be in a wheelchair, and it's not. I don't want to see that for him.
Okay, but now he's gone 2 full years. He barely gets touched.
Yeah, that's
in
true.
the 2 playoff
that's
games.
True because he's got a great line. He's got a great line
once each game.
Yeah, but every line has a failure, you know. So we'll see.
I'm looking at it. Well, first of all, the $96 million might have something to do with it.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, listen. You don't make that money every day.
No,
okay, let's be honest about that. But I look at it and I say, if Peyton Manning has a big-time Super Bowl, he'll be the only quarterback in NFL history to take 2 different teams to a Super Bowl championship. I'm looking at him, and there are some people who believe that could potentially eclipse him above Montana. Are you there?
Yeah, like my man said over there, I'm there. I mean, I love to see people make history and break records. This man is going to do that, but I don't know come this Sunday. It's going to be a hard one. And if he does it, I take my hat off to him. You know what I mean?
Your thoughts on what Richard Sherman did after the NFC Championship game and the fallout from it?
Well, I mean, I used to play the position myself, defensive back, and I know when you shut somebody down like a Crabtree, you hype. You know what I mean? A lot of times when these reporters catch these players right after the game, there's so much adrenaline going, there's so much excitement. I think if he had to take it back, I think he would take back some things. And I saw that he was trying to shake Crabtree's hand, and I felt like maybe Crabtree felt, oh, this guy's being disrespectful. But if I was Crabtree, I would have shook his hand and said, hey, look, it's a good game. They're both great players. I don't take nothing from Crabtree, and Richard Sherman did his job that day. But I like the fact what Richard said keeps it on the field, and it keeps it respectful. So when it got off the field and went to social media and the name calling and all kinds of stuff, I mean, I've been there before myself. I said something bad about somebody on Top Model, and man, I had 45,000 people going at me telling me they're coming to my house. And I was like, all right, well, I live at such and such, you know. But it's tough when it comes off the field and it becomes something personal, and they start to disrespect and threaten your family. But
he did say it on the field. He did call it
say it
on the field. And
he said it on the field.
I will remind Richard Sherman of this one point that I haven't heard anybody bring up. As good as you are, if indeed Crabtree is mediocre, then what did you really accomplish?
At the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, clearly he wasn't. I mean, you should be pumping him up because you stopped him, as opposed to saying he's mediocre.
All right, gentlemen.
Call him sorry.
Let's leave it there.
Coming this summer, the 2014 FIFA World Cup from Brazil. Every goal.
The shot, Donovan scores. The USA leads by 2.
Every save.
Here's Germany up. Steal. Closer. In the box. The shot is shot.
Every match. Wherever you are this summer, take the FIFA World Cup with you. It's on ESPN Radio and the ESPN Radio app.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are at Bryant Park at Celsius Restaurant. We got some Giants fans in the house, although they're not in the Super Bowl. However, because our next guest caught the winning touchdown in Super Bowl 42 to lead the Giants over the Patriots. So it was apropos that we had to show that for you. You also caught some traffic. What happened?
Hey, it took me about 2 hours to get here from New Jersey. I came through the Lincoln Tunnel, and they literally shut down the 40th Street right in front of my face. And
is this a Chris Christie thing? Is he trying to get even with?
No, don't be disrespectful. Don't be disrespectful to the governor of New Jersey.
Are you a fan?
I am a fan of Chris Christie's. I'll be the first to admit that.
Really?
Yes, I am.
I'm surprised,
all right,
given your political leaning.
Back on topic. So you actually picked the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl. Explain yourself, sir.
I think that the Seattle Seahawks have the better football team. When it comes down to making plays offensively for the Denver Broncos, I believe that the Seattle Seahawks can get off the field when they need to in crunch time situations. And you have Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, some of those guys in the back end. I really believe that Richard Sherman can contain Demaryius Thomas enough to where they can win that game.
Ladies and gentlemen,
that's right.
I don't trust Plaxico Burress's objectivity on this particular subject. Let me tell y'all why.
Tell me why.
If you recall, Plaxico Burress helped the New York Giants win a Super Bowl championship, going up against the elite offense in the game. And it was the Giants defense that answered the bell that made Tom Brady tap dance like the late, great Gregory Hines. So he's thinking that Peyton Manning is going to be forced to tap dance too by that Seattle defense because they're going to shut down that high-powered offense in Denver. That's what he's thinking.
I didn't say they was going to shut them down. I said that they're going to make enough plays on defense to win the football game.
So you think that the offense going to be able to close the deal? You think Russell Wilson and Gold Tate and those boys are going to close the deal?
Listen, I've played in that stadium. Like, that ground is going to be hard. It's going to be tough. And Marshawn Lynch is going to be the difference in that football game running the football. I don't think that if they give Marshawn Lynch the ball 35, 40 times, they win that game.
35 to 40 times.
35 to 40 times.
Okay, if they do give it to him 40 times, how many points can Peyton score?
I think that the game's going to be about 25 to 28.
Okay,
Seattle
like
Seahawks. It's not, I don't think it's going to be a 30-point high-scoring game in this weather playing on that turf in that stadium. I just don't see. I played there 4 or 5 years, and I know what that service is going to be like when it's cold outside.
Ain't nobody questioning that about you, but I'm just saying. You're trying to say that Russell Wilson with Golden Tate and a recently recovering from a concussion Percy Harvin and those boys are going to put up 28 points against Denver?
I really believe so. I really believe so.
All right.
Okay. Go to one other matchup that you'll have great insight into. Demaryius versus Richard Sherman. Who has the advantage?
I believe Richard Sherman does.
Because
he's going to get him to play bump and run all day. He's going to take away that short screen that they love to throw to Demaryius Thomas, which he's caught maybe 10 of them and ran 10 of them for touchdowns. They're going to take that away with the coverage, and there's not going to be that many big plays made in this passing game with that matchup of Demaryius Thomas and Richard Sherman. I don't believe it's going to be a lot of big plays.
This is stunning. I mean, why does everybody talk about it like Denver's got one receiver? They've got 4.
They do have 4.
They've got Decker, they've got Welker, they've got Julius Thomas is a stud.
It's another great matchup that I want to see is Earl Thomas and Julius Thomas. I want to see how they're going to match up with Julius Thomas in the back end, if they're going to put Cam Chancellor on him or Earl Thomas.
I got a question, Skip. I just thought about this. Just popped into my head.
This is trouble.
One of the things they talked about with San Francisco going into Seattle was, and Skip was educating me about this because there were people that was Skip called Vernon Davis just a tad bit soft. And I was like, what? So disrespectful. And then all of a sudden, I got a couple of calls from some dudes in the NFL. They were like, Skip got points, Stephen A. I mean, Davis should put a hat on him. He ain't the same. And sure enough, he was neutralized. Do you believe that Julius Thomas is that dude that can be softened up a little bit?
I don't believe so. Okay. I think that Julius Thomas is one of the top 5 tight ends in this league, and he's definitely a difficult guard to guard. To guard with his height.
Toughness, though. Just toughness.
I believe he's tough enough to go out and make some plays against him, but I don't think that they're going to win the football game just because Julius Thomas makes a few good plays.
All right.
Better go-to receiver, Plaxico or Demaryius?
Plaxico Burress.
No doubt.
No question.
No doubt about it.
Because
I'm always there when you need me most. It's crunch time. It's the Super Bowl, baby.
Is Demaryius in your mind overrated a little?
I don't think it's overrated at all.
He catches too many slip screens.
I mean, each guy has a different skill set. I mean, he's fast. He can run. He can catch. So I mean, they let him play to his strengths and throwing him those screen passes. I mean, if that's the kind of player that he is, then let him go out and have some success.
The Seattle Seahawks were the #1 pass defense in the game, and we understand that.
Right.
But last time I checked, Sean Moreno can run the football just a little bit.
A little bit.
And if you got 4 receivers that you got to be preoccupied with, is it not possible that Seattle, whose run defense is solid but not necessarily great, is it possible that you can run the football on Seattle?
I mean, they can run the football on Seattle. Yes, they can.
Okay, so they can run it. They obviously can throw it. But they got Peyton Manning.
See, the difference is with the Seattle defense is that if you look at all the teams around the league when they play the Denver Broncos, they don't come up in their face and play bump and run man to man. The Seattle Seahawks are going to do that. They're not just going to sit back in the zone and give these guys free releases and let them run through the zone and let Peyton Manning pick them apart. That's not going to happen. They're going to get up there, play some bump and run, throw the timing off a little bit, and they're going to make just enough plays to win the game.
Well, what about the fact that MetLife might as well be a road game for Seattle because this ain't Seattle. And it's not that same home court advantage that they have at home. And going to MetLife Stadium, which is relatively a neutral field, because Seattle Seahawks fans are not going to be able to dominate the stadium. They ain't getting all the tickets. What about that impact?
It's a neutral site for everybody. I mean, nobody's playing at home.
Yeah, but we rave about the impact of the 12th man in Seattle.
Right.
You know that's on another level compared to everybody else in the NFL right now.
So what you're saying is that just because they have a 12th man, that's the reason why we're
saying is that are they not a better team in Seattle than they are anywhere else?
Oh, without question.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
I've never won a game in Seattle. I'm 0-5 out there.
Okay.
I've never won a game.
Right, so Bayless talked about this earlier. He said he didn't want the game to be decided by the conditions. So what is it like playing in those bad weather conditions at the Meadowlands? And you mentioned that to Stephen A.
You know, it depends on how hard the wind is blowing. You know, it's one of those things, playing in that stadium and playing on that ground. It's like there's no heat underneath that turf. I mean, under that turf is just concrete. And, you know, when you get to the 20-yard line going in, like those corners, the corner of the end zones get real slippery.
Yep.
You see guys falling down because it doesn't really matter what kind of shoes you have. I used to play in tennis shoes when that turf got that hard. So, I mean, we'll see what the elements bring for those guys to go out and play.
So if we do have a little snow or freezing rain, how close could that field resemble this ice rink down below here?
It's going to be pretty close.
Pretty close?
Wow. It's going to be pretty close.
Advantage Seattle,
if it's snowing and raining, are you really going to pick the Denver Broncos?
Well, you know what? That's my concern. That's my concern. But I'm just saying, then man up and say that's the reason. Don't give me Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas and the offense don't find a way to make plays.
Hey, what I said was when I put my face on that green part of that board right there, I said the Seattle Seahawks going to win this football game because they are the better football team.
I'll be looking for
That's what I said.
Right. I got one more question. And it is painful for me to ask this question, but since we saw this video leading into this segment, I have to ask you.
I didn't know it was painful for you to ask any question.
Touche. But this one still sticks in my craw. Can you please put in perspective, being an ex-New York football giant, just how incredibly lucky in Tyree's face mask? How lucky was that play?
Everybody's out there playing hard, competing. You never know what's going to happen. That's why they call it the NFL. Hey, all he did was put the ball in and gave his wide receiver a chance to make a play.
How lucky was that play? Scale of 1 to 10. A 10?
I don't think he never see it again. But
He called it lucky.
I'm glad I was there.
Lucky. We'll never see it
I'm glad that I was a part of it. You probably never see it happen again, but it happened when I needed it to.
Well, it was incredibly lucky. Now you did catch the winning touchdown pass.
I wouldn't say luck. I wouldn't say luck. It does take a little bit of athletic skills.
Have you ever seen Eli escape from any rush in his life?
Why don't
Seriously.
You know what?
Has he ever escaped?
You know what bothers me? Hold on. You know what bothers me about all of y'all New York Giants? Y'all don't remind Skip that the New England Patriots came in with the ¡1 offense, averaging more than 30 points a game, with Tom Brady laughing at the thought that they were going to be held to 17 points, and y'all held them to 14. Y'all held them to 14. How come nobody brings that up? How come y'all never say that? Check him.
Ever played?
Ever.
I thought it was terrible.
Ever played.
Wait a second.
Played.
With 2 minutes and 40 seconds left, Tom Brady did what he always does.
Right.
He threw the winning touchdown
which was his 14
to Randy Moss.
Which was his 14
It was enough. And the game was over. It's third and forever.
It wasn't
and
enough.
Eli escapes. And it sticks. David Tyree was not very good. Didn't he have a terrible week of practice?
Well, that doesn't matter.
It was lucky. It stuck in his face mask.
Skip, no.
The luckiest catch in the history of the Super Bowl.
A terrible week of practice.
There are people that we have talked about on this show who will remain nameless that had awful practices and showed up come game time.
This is the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl. And come on, where were you on that play? Didn't you wherever you were, you said, "Oh my God, what a lucky play." Didn't you think that?
I didn't even see the whole helmet part of it because I was on the left side of the field running down, and I didn't even see the helmet part of it. I just seen him come up with the ball, and I was just, let's go.
Eli didn't see it either.
I didn't realize.
Am I right?
No, I didn't see the helmet part of the catch. I didn't see that part.
So he keeps focusing on that and not focusing on the fact that the high-powered offense in the NFL was completely neutralized for most of the afternoon and held to 7 points until the last 2 minutes. The Giants, Strahan, Tuck, and the crew put a hat on him, made Tom Brady tap dance, and that was that. They lost. Period. Call it like you sing it. Oh, please.
We have it on record from Plaxico Burress. It was a lucky play. You agree?
You can call it luck all you want, but it's history.
It's history.
It's history. It's a wrap.
It's history.
I think we should change the result of that Super Bowl.
No.
How are you going to do that? It's history.
It's history.
over.
It's a wrap.
Show him the ring.
He has the ring. Show him the ring. Show him the ring. That's the ring. He got the ring. He has the ring.
The ring right there. The ring right there.
I deserve this ring.
You go ahead. Understand it says Giants on that ring. Deal with it.
Plaxico Burress, thank you so much for joining. Give it up for Plaxico, everybody. Give it up for Plaxico Burress for joining the desk.
The smartest coach in all of pro football said, "Watch this."
Wow.
Skip Bayless on Tim Tebow, full of sound and fury, signifying absolutely nothing.
I'm going to challenge you on this.
Go ahead.
If Tim Tebow is the backup quarterback for the New England
The
Patriots,
backup, meaning behind Tom Brady.
behind Tom Brady,
Go ahead.
we're going to box, and I get to punch back.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh wow!
And you can, and whatever you want, if you win, you can let me know.
Once Bill Belichick cuts you, I think you stay cut.
Skip, he's not an NFL passer.
First Take on the road, ladies and gentlemen, at Bryant Park at Celsius Restaurant, joined by our guest, Hall of Fame running back. How are you? There's a bet, a payoff.
Yeah, you know, it is. It's a special moment in the history of this show, you know, when you sit back and being as prophetic as I am with this particular situation, guaranteeing you that Tim Tebow wouldn't be relevant this season. You sat up there and you said that if I lost that bet to you because you swore he was going to be in this league and he was going to be somebody's backup in New England, I believe, that I had to step into the ring with you. Let me say for the record on national television, because I am a truth teller, I must confess to you that, Skip, even though you are an inspiration in and of your own right, because being at your age, the shape that you're in, you put 20-year-olds to shame. You are not the primary source of inspiration as it came to me getting the condition. This man is, because I was petrified of getting in the ring, okay, out of shape and getting my head beat in by this man. So that is why.
That still might happen.
I know that still might happen. That is why on this day, I'm going to shock you, Curtis Martin. You lost the bet.
I lost.
But what I want in return is pretty much absolutely nothing. I'm not going to get on you. Instead, what I'm going to tell you to do is I'm going to let you train me.
Deal.
I'm going to let you train
I'll do that.
me. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to actually sit there and get in the ring with him anyway.
All right. Well,
but to him teach me not to knock my head.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid for Stephen A.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, you end up in the ring with me. That's all I wanted.
That's right.
Before we went to break.
Wait a second.
What?
You just gave him Mission Impossible
to train him?
Right?
Stephen A. is fine. He's all that. He can box with you.
Hey, listen. Well, first of all, my skills actually are quite smooth.
Yeah.
But I have lost some pounds in the midsection, so I'm feeling good about myself.
All right, we digress. So you picked Denver Broncos to win the Super Bowl. You got to explain yourself.
Yeah. Well, number one, AFC.
Okay.
AFC. Number two, Peyton Manning.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think that he can be the difference maker in this game. You know, this game could come down to a chess match, and I would take Peyton Manning's football IQ over Seattle Seahawks.
Really, even that secondary, that legendary secondary that you're talking about.
Yeah.
See, I'm just playing the role of devil's advocate no matter which way people go, because I'm waiting until the end of the week to give my prediction. But I will say this. Looking at what you just said, let's analyze this. You believe in Denver because of all their offensive weapons led by Peyton Manning.
Yes.
So much has been made about their defense, how they can bump, how they can get up in your face, how they can neutralize you on that level. How do you feel about Seattle's defense in terms of how great it can be compared to some of the great defenses in history?
I don't even think we've seen the best of Seattle's defense yet. I think that'll be in the years to come. But I think right now they're probably the best defense in the NFL. But I also think that Peyton Manning, that offense, is the best offense in the NFL. And so I think offense is going to, conquer the defense.
There's also a particular stat that's out there. Quarterback leading the league in passing, passing yards, so total offense rather. The combination of those two, they're 0-3 in Super Bowls. So that doesn't necessarily equate to a winning formula come Super Bowl time.
How do you feel about Peyton's year? I just think this is his year. I think that this is the year that he gets it done. I think that this is the year he puts all the critics, he quiets all the critics.
Okay, given that, let's say your scenario proves true Sunday night. Should Peyton then walk into the sunset?
If I was him, I would. I'll say that. If I was Peyton, I would. I think that's a great way to retire. I think Jerome Bettis did it. I think Ray Lewis had a chance to do it. If I could have retired that way, I would have definitely stepped away from the game after that.
But
and this is year 17, 16 for Peyton?
37 years of age.
Yeah.
But the only reason I have hesitation about that, guys, is because, it's 55 touchdowns, just 10 interceptions. Yes, it's 5,477 yards passing. But I'm looking at Denver's offense. They may be better next year, too.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, why not come back and win, too? Like Elway did.
Yeah.
Why settle for just one in Denver? What about that thought?
Hey, I agree. I agree with that. I mean, I agree if you want to keep trying to win, but I'm just saying he doesn't have anything else to prove. I actually, even before he wins this game, I don't think Peyton has anything to prove. I think he'll go down as one of the top 3 quarterbacks in NFL history.
If you had a list, where would he go on your top 3? If he wins the Super Bowl.
2 or 3 behind Joe Montana. I think it's Peyton, Brady. Not Peyton. Joe. Brady and Peyton.
Okay. But if somehow Peyton Manning won the next 2 Super Bowls, would you then vault him to the top of that list?
No, I still think he would be 2.
Really?
Yeah, I think I may edge him out on Tom Brady, but I don't know if I put him before Joe Montana.
Because
you know what? I don't know. It's just this Joe Montana thing. He's always been one of my favorites.
4 for 4 in Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Should have won 4 MVPs.
Yeah.
Okay, but remember, devil's advocate here. Peyton Manning was barely touched this year. He got roughed up a little in that game at San Diego. That's the only time he got really touched all year.
But, a lot of that has to do with who he is and the way he plays the game.
Absolutely.
And how smart he is. You know what I mean? I'm sure that you put a lot of other quarterbacks in that exact same situation, they get touched more than Peyton Manning does.
Do you miss football?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Really?
No.
Why not?
Not at all. I feel as though, I'll tell you this, every day I went out on that field, whether it was practice or the game, I gave my all. And I'm the type of guy, once I know that I've given my all, there's no more I can do. And the game demanded that I retire simply because of injury. Nothing else I can do. Nothing else I can.
Okay, the game is not demanding that Peyton retire because of injury. He got through his 4 neck procedures, we think, with flying colors. He seems okay. He says he will be reevaluated one more time this offseason. But if doctors say you're okay to go, he loves to play football. He wants to play again because he's having more fun than he's ever had. Loves playing for his coach and for his executive in John Elway. So why not?
It's not a negative for him to come back. It's just that if he wins this game, he'll have a great opportunity to retire on a high. And again, he's Peyton Manning, so he's going to retire on a high regardless.
Let's switch subjects for a quick second, Curtis. Obviously, throughout your career, the Bill Parcells of the world and others, anybody associated with you speaks to your greatness, not just as a player, but with you as an individual, your character. You never conducted yourself the way we saw Richard Sherman conduct himself in the aftermath of that NFC Championship game. Right. Not a big deal in a lot of our eyes. They're completely overblown in most of our eyes. But at the same time, it happened. What were your thoughts seeing what you saw and then about how everyone reacted to it?
My first thought was that it would be an overreaction to what he did. Most people don't understand what it's like being out on that field. So from a fan's perspective, you don't understand. And obviously him and Crabtree had some type of bad blood going on. Now, of course, like you said, I wouldn't have done that, but that's who Richard Sherman is. And that's what he did, and that's what he said. I don't necessarily commend it, but I don't think it bothers the team. In my opinion, I don't think anyone in that locker room is frowning upon Richard Sherman because of what he did. I think it's frowned upon more from the media, more so than his teammates.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay, you being a Hall of Fame running back that you are, we hear so much about beast mode, that he could take over this football game, Marshawn Lynch. In your mind, put him in perspective. Is he starting to rate as an all-timer to you?
Yes, I definitely think so. I think he has a few more years to, be consistent on what he's already doing. But, he's one of those unique running backs who not only does he have the ability to break away and score a long touchdown, not only is he powerful, not only is he strong, but he's also elusive. You usually don't find all of those things in one running back. And in today's game, the game is going more towards this running back by committee type thing. And he's one of those guys you could keep in there first, second, third, and fourth down. And that's what I respect about him.
Remind you anyone?
Yeah.
No.
You know what? I don't put myself in that category. I think he is like, if I had his talent, I think I would have broke the all-time rushing record a long time ago.
You don't think you were as talented as Marshawn Lynch is?
There were a lot of guys. I was just the hardest worker. I worked everyone. And I'm not saying it modestly. I wasn't the most talented guy on that team from year to year at running back. But I knew no one would outwork me. No one would persevere the way I did, and no one would have the commitment and the intensity that I played with and be the leader that I was. And one of the things I prided myself on was making others better around me and not just focusing on myself.
And how did you go about doing that?
Leadership, and so everyone, when they came into the facility, they knew Curtis was already going to be there. When everyone left, they knew Curtis was probably going to be the last one out of there. I didn't take for granted that I was a starting running back. Every day I went into practice, I made everybody work harder. If we had to run 2 laps, I made everyone run 3.
Right.
And I think it's that type of commitment, that type of leadership that makes a team better.
Wait a second. I saw smooth and sweet and slippery. I saw Hall of Fame when I was watching you play.
Yeah.
So you're saying you just worked your way into the Hall of Fame?
You know something? I appreciate the compliment, Skip, but most of the running backs in the Hall of Fame have so much more talent than I do.
Whew.
There's so many guys who are not even close to the Hall of Fame that have more talent than I do.
Wow.
but I believe that hard work, perseverance, and determination can beat out hard.
But you can only take it so far.
Yeah, but you know what that means. And you know what you're saying, because if it is true what you're depicting, then we have a license to look at a lot of guys with supreme talent who are underachieving and saying, what is it that you're not doing? Because you're saying to us, hard work, perseverance, determination, leadership, those contributed to Hall of Fame credentials, which means that people who are more talented than you that are in this blessed position should be doing more with the talent that they have.
Yeah, see, you know where I come from, just to be on the field somewhere and not where I grew up at was, I didn't need any more motivation. I just didn't want to have to go back to where I came from. So one of the things, and I'll tell you, this is the key. If I would say one thing has put me in the Hall of Fame more than anything else, it was my ability to play with pain. Because there's a lot of players who, if they had the same injuries that I did, they would not have been in the game. And just the fact that I was able to stay in the game and still perform at a high level consistently, every year I still need 4 surgeries on my body, that I never got, that I never had done while I was playing simply because I would have missed.
Wow. Could we applaud this man, please?
Self-deprecating. Amen. So humble. We appreciate that. Curtis Martin appearing on behalf of Verizon's Who's Gonna Win campaign. Hall of Fame running back Curtis Martin says Denver Broncos will win the Super Bowl. Thank you for joining us. Welcome back anytime. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to First Take. It's Carrie's Court. So this is the opportunity all week long that our guests, our live studio audience, can ask questions to Skip and Stephen A. And so this is probably going to be the best part of the show. First up is John from Sayreville. Tell us a little bit about who you are and who's your question for.
I'm from Sayreville, New Jersey, and I have a question for Skip Bayless.
All right. What is your question?
I want to know, if and when Eli Manning wins his 3rd Super Bowl, are you going to stop calling him the luckiest quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl?
Fair question, John. Thank you. Have a seat. Yes, Skip.
I really don't have to answer that question because we all know he'll never win another Super Bowl. Eli Manning made the luckiest play in Super Bowl history to win his 1st Super Bowl, and then he won his 2nd Super Bowl, Stephen A. Smith, when Tom Brady missed a throw he makes 100 times out of 100 to Wes Welker. Wes Welker could have caught the ball. I put most of the blame on Tom Brady. Those 2 plays gave Eli Super Bowl rings that I don't think he deserved. That's just me.
Luckily, your opinion has absolutely no impact about who's crowned Super Bowl champion. Number two, and more importantly, I love how you berate Eli Manning and just gloss over the fact that in both Super Bowls, if Tom Brady was as prolific during that game as he was during the postseason and the regular season of those seasons, we wouldn't have been in a position to have this conversation. And number 3, and more importantly, I think the Kansas City Chiefs, the Philadelphia Eagles, along with the plethora of other teams have proven that the NFL is the land of parity. What you did last year has nothing to do with what you're going to do this season. The Giants stunk up the joint last year for the first 6 weeks of the season. They will be a different team next year. Don't rule anything out.
How do you explain that a quarterback who has now led the NFL in interceptions three times, including this year, has 2 Super Bowl rings?
Like you said, I don't have to. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. I don't have to give you that explanation. So what? Get over it. I've been telling you for years, get over it.
We have another question for you, Skip. Robert from Merrick, New York. What do you have to ask?
Skip, if Peyton Manning wins the Super Bowl, will you consider him a better all-time quarterback than your man, Mr. Tom Brady?
One more time on the point. Point at it.
Mr. Tom Brady.
Yeah. I like you. I like you.
That question.
Yeah.
Robert belongs up here at this desk because I believe Robert could out-debate this man sitting across from me. Robert, not to me, not by by the way I analyze top quarterbacks, because clearly Peyton Manning, Stephen A. Smith would then have 2 Super Bowl rings. Tom Brady would still have 3. Granted, Tom Brady is now 8-8 in his last 16 playoff games, and he has not won a Super Bowl, though he's played in 2 over the last 9 years. But clearly, to me, I think in impact, if Peyton does beat this Seattle defense, that a lot of people other than me will elevate him above Tom Brady.
First things first, what you said to that young man before you went into your little soliloquy there, I applaud, because it's important to let people know, particularly kids, that dreams are always possible, but it's just a dream with that one. Now let's get on down to the nitty-gritty. As you were talking about Peyton Manning, we can't dismiss anything that's possible with him. With the numbers that he's put up during the regular season, with you acknowledging officially that Peyton Manning is the greatest regular season quarterback to have ever played, the reality is that if he wins this Super Bowl, that he will have taken 2 different teams to a Super Bowl championship. I'm not saying you automatically elevate him above Tom Brady. What I am saying, however, it does bring into question, what does Tom Brady have? Now, I've looked at some of obviously you had Randy Moss one year, but you've got some of these no-names that you were throwing the ball to and making into quality receivers. He deserves credit for that. But he also diminishes just a touch, because Peyton Manning didn't have the luxury of having Bill Belichick as his coach all of these years, and he didn't have the same system he's been playing under. Tom Brady won his first 10 playoff games. Since that time, he has been average. An 8-8 record is average on anybody's radar, and that is what he is in postseason history since 2004. It is 2014. There has been a complete 9 seasons that have come and gone with some other quarterback other than Tom Brady being crowned a Super Bowl champion. You have to acknowledge that. Just acknowledge that. I'm not saying it's given. I'm just saying it's a question.
And speaking of average, Peyton Manning is now 11-11 in the postseason. Is that not the definition of average?
That's true. But if he wins this Super Bowl, he will have won 2 more Super Bowls in the past 9 years than Tom Brady has.
And yes, Peyton Manning threw a pick-6 that helped lose a Super Bowl.
That's right.
To New Orleans.
And Tom Brady threw an interception in the AFC Championship game that propelled Peyton Manning to his first Super Bowl. Not to mention the fact that there have been times when Tom Brady had home field advantage. I recall the Baltimore Ravens going into Foxborough and stomping on the New England Patriots, which were led by Tom Brady.
I'm told we have to go to the next question.
And you just said that Tom Brady had a bad AFC Championship game.
All right, we got another question from Chris from Queens. You have our last and final question for Skip. Stephen A. will get you tomorrow. What's the question?
Could Tim Tebow lead this Broncos team to the Super Bowl?
Just to the Super Bowl, right? To the Super Bowl. Okay, so this Bronco team, it had 2 games at home. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes, Tim Tebow could have won 2 games at home. Yes, at home. Just to get Wait.
To say it again. Now the question was:
could he lead this team to the Super Bowl?
To the championship?
To the Super Bowl.
Okay, I got it. He would be to the Super Bowl. This Seattle defense would annihilate Tim Tebow. It would. Okay. It would. I'm sorry, it would.
I am going to say this. I swear to y'all, if I hear y'all chant Tebow, I'm going to get security to remove all of y'all. I'm going to get him out of here. I'm not playing. I'm not joking. I'm going to get y'all out of here. It makes absolutely no sense for us to even entertain that conversation. A dude that couldn't even make an NFL roster for the 2013 season, we're going to sit here and entertain a question as to whether or not he could lead. Now, maybe a miracle could have happened. Maybe anything could happen. And if we were talking about an angel hovering above Denver and touching him on the shoulders and saying, guide us through the promises where he can walk on water too, that's fine. But if we're talking about NFL quarterbacks, I don't care what he did. You can't have a legitimate conversation about a dude that is not even on an NFL roster. It is disrespectful to everybody that's playing in this game. It's wrong. It's wrong.
Wait. Who is your favorite NFL team?
It don't matter.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are his favorite team.
That's true.
What did Tim Tebow do to the number one ranked defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers in a playoff game? Game. What happened?
Skip Bayless loves to entertain this conversation and appease all of y'all, but I am telling you right now, I am not having a conversation about what a dude did 3 years ago that is not even on an NFL roster Super Bowl week. I will not do it. Now, I'm telling y'all right now, I got a little bit more clout. Don't sleep. I'll have y'all removed before we talk about Tim Tebow. It ain't happening. It's a Super Bowl week. He has no business in this conversation. He has no business being talked about. It's embarrassing, and we ain't doing it. Stop it right now. Stop it right now.
Did I ask the question? Did I bring him up?
Yes, you can.
No, I did not. I didn't bring up. He always brings up Tebow.
I did it today.
Okay,
we ain't doing it.
Stephen A., you can't threaten to throw out the crowd.
It's Super Bowl week. What's wrong with you people? What's wrong with y'all? It's Super Bowl week. It's Super Bowl week, and we talking about a dude that didn't even make an NFL roster. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the NFL players. At least talk about somebody that's on the NFL roster.
Do you not? You like it? It's okay.
I mean, what's wrong with y'all?
That does it for Carrie's Court. Again, every day we'll be asking questions for Skip and Stephen A.
I mean, everybody wants to play in Los Angeles. I mean, New York's a beautiful place. I'm gonna get me wrong, but it's colder than it's palm trees and beaches. Obviously a little bit more appealing. But no, all jokes aside, I think that players, when that time comes, will have to make the best decision for them and their families. And I try not to, think about it too much. If he wants to call me for advice later as a friend, I'll be more than happy to give it to him.
Welcome back to Bryant Park. We're at the Celsius restaurant here in New York City. We're live on the road for Super Bowl week. You hear Kobe Bryant maybe hinting to the fact that Carmelo Anthony should come to L.A. However, Yahoo Sports is reporting that Chicago is more of a possibility for Carmelo Anthony than L.A. We welcome our New York native guest, friend of the show, Fabolous. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we're obviously going to talk about Carmelo Anthony, New York Knicks. You hear Kobe saying come to L.A., then hear reports that he should be in Chicago. Where do you see Melo next year?
I think Melo should stay in New York, man, and stick it out here with a team, and they can build around Melo and try to figure some things out. New York has money, they have opportunity, and I think New York is a good place for Melo. For his game, for where he's from, and I think the city loves him as well.
But Melo wants to win. Can the Knicks win?
I mean, I think any team can win if you put them in the right. If you put the right players in the situation and the organization, but the Knicks haven't done that, thus far. So that's why everybody has that question.
Nate Smith.
Good seeing you, my man. Happy to have you on the show. Let me break this down for everybody. First of all, I don't want Melo to leave, but I do believe the Knicks should move him. Because if you're an unrestricted free agent, which he will become this summer once he opts out of his contract and he's free to go elsewhere, then if you're the Knicks, you're putting yourself in a position where he can leave you for nothing, like Dwight Howard did L.A., like LeBron did Cleveland. If that happens, where do you go from there? If you're the New York Knicks, it's like starting all over. That's a problem. I don't want Melo to leave. I want him to stay. But because he's non-committal about whether or not he will stay, that's the problem. Now, all of these rumors about Chicago, let's put it in perspective. You're going to hear a lot more. You're going to hear about Chicago. You're going to hear, Thibodeau even possibly leaving Chicago. He's under contract for 2 years in Chicago, and I can't imagine Jerry Reinsdorf and those boys.
Are you buying Chicago as a viable possibility?
It's a viable possibility, but things have to happen. They'd have to amnesty Carlos Boozer and get rid of Mike Dunleavy Jr. along with a couple of other guys just to have enough space to bring Melo. And plus, you're still hoping that Derrick Rose will come back healthy, and you're hoping that the relationship between Thibodeau and the front office organization, remember, they let go of his man Ron Adams. But as somebody told me this morning, if Thibodeau was willing to leave Chicago, wouldn't he have left when they made him get rid of his boy Ron Adams, the assistant coach? If he was going to leave, he would have left them, and he didn't leave. So since he's locked up for the next 2 years, you got to look at something and ask yourself, is it viable? Here's the thing that could lead to Melo ultimately staying in New York. New York can not only give him $30+ million more, But if he wants to win, you also want to go to a place where you want to go to, a large market, things of that nature. L.A. don't look like it's going to win anytime soon, even if Kobe does come back. Look at how you got to do it. You got to fire the coach, Mike D'Antoni. You got to look for a new coach to come there. You got to work for Jim Buss, which is a circus in and of itself. So that's problematic. If you're Melo, it may be best for you to stay in New York. My point is, I don't know if anybody could be trusted to want to stay with the Knicks because the New York Knicks are dysfunctional. When you make money, and you can make money, but when all you are is about making money and you're not about winning, and you ain't had a championship in 40 plus years, all right, that's a problem. And it's a problem that they have shown no ability to fix. And that's where we are right now. So it's 50-50 what Melo is going to do. I'm still hearing L.A. as a possibility. I don't summarily dismiss Chicago, even though it's always possible, because I don't want to disrespect those reports. But that's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing L.A. I've been hearing L.A. We'll see what happens.
I'm with Fab on this one. I think Melo should stay.
So do I.
Not for 30 million reasons, but he belongs here. Is this not the greatest basketball stage still in America? I know there's no championships, but Madison Square Garden, I think he would miss it. I think, and I'm not just saying that for the crowd. Kobe said something interesting to the New York media yesterday. He said sometimes, and he went through a drought in L.A., sometimes if you're the go-to guy in the franchise, you have to learn to go kick down the door of management and make things happen. Kobe said, I kicked the door down. He indicated Carmelo has not kicked the door down, even though Carmelo gets pretty much what he wants here, right? But not in personnel, not in players. So if there's a player or a direction he wants to go, he has to say my way or I'm on the highway.
Well, see,
right?
but that's what I've been begging for. Okay. That's why Carmelo and the crew and everybody walk around a little bit of attitude. I don't give 2 cents about that. I'm a Knicks fan. I want them to succeed. But the point is, you got to kick the door in. But it ain't just about personnel. It's about those who make personnel decisions. You've got to mandate that the billionaire owner who knows how to make money on Wall Street also puts you and surrounds you with the requisite leadership necessary to wheel and deal and make things happen, so you have the confidence that you're going to have the personnel around you that you need to succeed. Melo is not being paid max dollars just to go out there and drop 62 once every blue moon. He's not being paid max dollars to average 25. He's being paid that money because he's the face of the franchise, and he needs to act like it by kicking the door in to mandate and be man enough to go like this. I need some help. I need some help. That's what you got to be able to do. Am I wrong about that?
You're absolutely right. And I always look at also him leaving is if he's leaving to another productive situation. If you move to Chicago or you move to like you said, the Lakers, who are not in that, winning era right now as well, what are you leaving to? You know what I'm saying? So I always look at that, and it's also, a fan versus business aspect as well. So, business, the Knicks have to protect the Knicks, and, as a fan, you love to see Melo in the Garden, and like you said, the Garden needs that kind of player. That kind of player needs Madison Square Garden as well.
The Knicks make money. So evidently the franchise is fine. But the reality is that what does it say about you when you're making money, but you have a history of losing? It says that your priorities are skewed. And when Kobe Bryant talks about kicking in the door, let me remind everybody what Kobe Bryant means by that. Kobe Bryant came on my radio show in New York City and said, I will play on Pluto. I want to be traded. And it was after that they went out and got Pau Gasol in that heist when they gave away Kwame Brown. So let's keep that in mind. Kobe Bryant sat there and put the Lakers organization on notice that the present state of affairs are not comfortable. When I see Carmelo, just the other day I heard him say, I'm tired of losing. That was the first time I heard him say that. Nobody wants to lose Melo. He's big time. But being big time is not just putting up buckets. Being big time is saying, I'm the face of this organization. You calling me the man. Damn it, I need your help. Get it done. Get it done. And hold the people accountable. That's what it is.
And the choir said amen. I appreciate it. Now, before we went to break, you said that you chose the Denver Broncos to win the Super Bowl. You have to explain yourself.
Well, I've always been a Peyton Manning fan, so I kind of came along with that. But I think the Broncos offensively are rolling in a good way. The Seahawks, to me, offensively is not rolling as well. They have won some games, but I don't think their offense is where it needs to be because of injuries and different things like that. And I think their defense is pretty good, and they always show you have to respect them in that aspect. But I think that Denver still has a slight edge because they have a great defense and a great offense.
Why have
as
you
well.
always been a Peyton fan?
I just felt like he was a superb player at that position, ever since college, and coming in even with the Colts. The Colts used to be my squad because of Peyton Manning, but I didn't really like the way they did Peyton Manning leaving. So I kind of just followed him over to the Broncos, and that's why I'm rooting for them now.
Stephen A.
I respect that, even though I disagree with you, because I have no problem with an organization going in the direction of a youth movement. Like I said,
even though it was the wrong choice.
Listen, zip it. Here's the deal. When somebody says, if anybody said Andrew Luck was better than Peyton Manning, that's a crime. We know better. But if somebody says, I'm not worried about these next 3 years to 5 years, I'm going to go with the next 15. Then I don't have a problem with an organization saying I'm going to go the long route.
It actually worked out for them. Andrew Luck is a great quarterback as well.
I wouldn't go great just yet. Not after you threw 7 interceptions in 2 playoff games.
I think he got forced into trying to make some plays,
so?
But I think overall he's going to be a great
he almost threw 3 interceptions in the first quarter of the Pro Bowl last night. So I'm not ready for great yet with Andrew Luck.
I hear you, but I'm sorry. Last time I checked, he played just a week shorter than Tom Brady. He had 1 more week. That's it.
But where's Peyton Manning now?
Yeah, he's in the Super Bowl.
Thank you.
Let's see what
Where would the Colts be right now? They would be in the Super Bowl.
The Colts would not be. I don't know if they'd be in the Super Bowl, but let me tell you something. We'll see what Andrew Luck does over the course of the next decade when Peyton Manning retires.
May I change the subject and ask Fab an entertainment question?
You may. Yes.
Right up your alley.
Right up my alley. Let's go.
I'm starting to wonder, going against your pick, whether this could be the year of Seattle. Because as I flip back and forth between the Pro Bowl and the Grammys last night, I noticed that a hot new artist from Seattle, born and bred, dominated the Grammys last night. And I'm saying, wait a second, is this an omen? Because this dude named Macklemore took home Best New Artist, Best Rap Performance, Best Rap Song, and Best Rap Album. And I'm saying, what? Really? So, I ask you, Macklemore, overrated, underrated?
I think. I wouldn't say he's overrated. I wouldn't say he's overrated. I think he's a good artist. I think he makes great music.
Do you?
And yeah, I think he's and his he's one of the new artists that's came in on the independent wave. So I think he's definitely done a lot for that whole wave too as well. So I think he's a good artist.
Why is he good?
Yeah. What is his style? Why does it resonate so well?
I think his style is diverse. That's why it's good too, because I feel like he doesn't just attack one lane. I think it's different for hip-hop, and I think that's what always made hip-hop dope, was that it's diversity, and I think that's what he brings to the table.
So no surprise he won 4 Grammys last night.
Not at the Grammys. If it would have been maybe at the BET Hip-Hop Awards, it would have been a little surprising.
Well said. Touche.
Why at the Grammys would he win as opposed to the Hip-Hop Awards?
I think he's more commercial, and it fits in, what the Grammys, the kind of music that the Grammys celebrates and is looking for. So I think it, there's guys who've had, tremendous success who've never won Grammys. I don't think 50 Cent.
You were nominated for a Grammy.
Yeah, I didn't win either, but 50 Cent has, sold millions and millions of. He's not a Grammy winner because of, maybe his style of music or whatever. But I think Macklemore fits in there.
Any politics involved in the Grammys?
Politics and everything.
Might be because of the Seahawks being in the Super Bowl.
Perhaps,
maybe
Bayless, you might have something.
And trying to will Seattle's year. You know what I mean? They lost their team before, so now they're trying to get some momentum back. I don't know.
Now, before I let you go, you picked Denver to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If Peyton does accomplish said feat, where does he land on the list of greatest for you?
I think he's up there in at least the top 3. I always got to tip my hat to like Joe Montana. Tom Brady has done some amazing things, but I think Peyton would be in that top 3 at least for me.
But for you would probably put him above Brady, knowing how much you love Peyton.
Yeah, I would put him above Brady. It's just hard to put him above Montana, but I will put him above. Montana has 4, right? I think
4 for 4.
Or Brady's got 3.
Right.
Day 1 from the Super Bowl. We are so glad that you guys came out to join us at home here in the crowd. It has been amazing. We thank you for joining us. We want to know who you think will win the Super Bowl. Our call to action for you is First Take Picks. #First Take Picks. Seattle, Denver. I'm Carrie. That's Skip Bayless.